Okay, so here's some 80s 3-inch G.I. Joe reproductions, and this is just basically a real American hero figures, small ones, and you know, some of these are from the G.I. Joe movie, and some of them are actually post-movie releases of real American hero figures, and some cool figures there. Really like the small ones that remind me of the 12-inch G.I. Joes, the one with a lot of cool gear in them. Those are kind of a no-brainer. And these are some of the retro repro cards from the Real American Heroes from the 80s. And okay, I think that does it for this bin. Let's move on to the next bin. Okay, next bin. This is all Kiss stuff. And, you know, Kiss costume, Halloween mask, Ace Frehley action figure, some Kiss Connects band set, vintage Kiss cards. These are Kiss cards. This is some Kiss cards that I made, full set of these, one of a kind. Kiss playing cards. This is from Australia. This is from the early 80s. This is a Kiss hair comb, of all things. More Kiss cards. These are contemporary Kiss cards from sets still kind of being released now these days. Some Kiss tattoos and stickers. This is actually confetti from a Kiss show. And then we got some comic books, Kiss Girls, Kiss. These are all contemporary. The artwork on some of these is just fantastic. I just love some of these newer Kiss comic books. The artwork really goes kind of rabid, man. Some of these are just really good looking comic books. And we've got a music monitor from Kiss's reunion tour. That's from Charlotte. An old circus with some Kiss articles in it. We got a official Kiss magazine from the reunion tour. This is the whole magazine is Kiss. We got folder, notebook holders. And this book is a scrapbook. Can't really go through every page because it's just too much stuff. But it is probably worth pointing out, you know, that when I got to meet Kiss, how awesome was that? And tickets, VIP pass, all of this stuff. So that's this bin. So this bin is all Marvel Star Wars comic books. This is the complete run from issue 1 to issue 107. And we looked at those at the starting of the show. We saw issue number 1 and issue 107. Just wanted to pull out. This is such a nice cover, and issue 94 is one of the probably rarer of the Marvel runs. But that's just a great cover, isn't it? Just a great cover. I'm not going to pull these out because, like I said, it's just all the whole Marvel Star Wars run. There is a couple of books in here, you know, collector books, some variations. There's some magazines in here, but we're not going to pull those out. But this thing is full of that stuff, and it's all Star Wars. So let's check out some more comic books. Okay, this next bin, this is all Star Wars as well. This is more Dark Horse. There's a lot of different stuff in here, but a lot of folders, some other, you know, non-Star Wars stuff. Just having a place to put everything. But this whole bin is basically comic books and magazines. There's some contemporary magazines in here, and there's also some vintage magazines in here. Looking for one. but a lot of, you know, like the old cracks and stuff. And the rest of this is Marvel Dark Horse. And what do we got? Syndicated comic strips, which we showed a little bit earlier. And it's just all Star Wars stuff. There's also some promotional stuff from some of the Star Wars releases, like Taco Bell and stuff, and some other promotional things that have flattened out, Cheetos box, etc. But wow, whole bin full of Star Wars stuff. Okay, this is all Hulk stuff. This bin is all Hulk comic books and contemporary Hulks. I'm not a real big fan of contemporary Hulk, so it's mostly the Marvel run. And there's some other stuff in here, just that you know, stuff I need room, a place to put, some Wonder Woman folders, some, you know, Batman stuff. But this is all predominantly, this whole bin is Hulk comics. And let's just pull out one to get a nice look at. Here's a nice vintage Hulk from that bin. Okay, you'll notice that we're changing shirts each time we go through a different bin or a different section. This is a really cool Marvel shirt, and this changes in the sun. You go out in the sun and poop, all of these colors pop out, the reds, the yellows. But this is a pretty cool shirt. But this bin is all Iron Man comic books. There's a couple of things in here that aren't Iron Man, but most of it is pretty much Iron Man comic books. One of the cool things that is in Iron Man is this is the Big Book of Death. This is a series of comic books, these big books. Also got the Big Books of Weirdos. These are fantastic, fantastic comic books of actual true life stuff. Each page or two is illustrated by a different artist. And they are really, really awesome reads, really awesome reads. But the rest of this bin is all Iron Man, and mainly classic Iron Man. Like I said, I'm not a real big fan of the newer Iron Man. So most of this stuff is the Invincible. And here's an old number 7. I believe this is the oldest, earliest classic Iron Man that I have. And that's about it for this bin, I guess. You can't really pull everything out. There's just too many, you know. Okay, so let's check out the next one. Okay, this next bin is all comic books. This is predominantly Marvel comic books. But there's, you know, I use these bins to protect all kinds of small books and stuff like that. So obviously some of this stuff is not Marvel. It's, you know, Batman, Wonder Woman. I love these kind of books that are really made for little kids, but the artwork is really awesome. But this is Marvel superheroes in here. What else do we got? Micronauts, The Thing and Thing Various, Spider-Man, Marvel movies, G.I. Joe, DC Vertigo. So that's this bin, and I'm not going to pull these out because they're comic books, and oh boy, we just don't have time to look at every comic book. But let's get to the next bin. This next bin is all comic books and books, but we got like Where the Wild Things Are, and outside over there, some Maurice Sendak. Got some more of the big books. This is the Big Book of Freaks, and then the rest of this bin, it's some magazines and mostly comic books. Well, we got Wolverine, Alice Cooper, horror, EC, 1960s horror, and there's also some old creepies in here. I've got some of these old 60s horror comic book compilations. But that's about it for this bin. There's a lot of stuff in here, but we don't have time to look at all of it, so let's move on. Okay, this obviously isn't a bin, but I'm a big Jeff Dunham fan, and I kind of collect Jeff Dunham stuff when I come across it. There's not a lot of stuff out there, but every now and then. But the DVDs, and this is a talking peanut doll. He does actually talk, but I'm not going to go through the trouble to put the batteries in him for that. But this is just such a cool peanut, you know, and he's, that's good, that's good, that's good. So let's move on to the next. Okay, these next bins are going to be really quick. There's only about one item in each. This is Evel Knievel, mint on the card. The card is not mint, but he is. But I was really happy to find that. And we got the wonderful, awesome Hulk Smash Fist. Now, these aren't the original Hulk hands from the early 2000s. I wish they were, and eventually I'd like to get those, but for the meantime, these will do. Okay, all of this stuff wasn't in a bin. This is just kind of scattered in there and some things that we didn't get to from other bins. Here's the Spider-Sense Spider-Man model, and he's actually, boom, half painted him, and there he is right there. Kiss skateboard, of all things, you know. What kid doesn't want to crack his head open while he's riding on his Kiss skateboard? Another is a contemporary canvas lunchbox. I use this to carry around my tablet. This is Stoney Smith. He was the Johnny West answer to G.I. Joe. Here's a Andy Griffith Hot Wheel type car. Here's some Andy Griffith discs, some of his comedy and some of his music. Huge Andy Griffith fan. Spider-Man hat, and here's a couple of the superhero Megos that I couldn't find yesterday. There's Superman and Batman, and I have Robin somewhere. Got to find him. But let's move on to the next batch of stuff. This is almost all Star Wars stuff, but not completely. Return of the Jedi model, Dark Forces, the CD-ROM game, and here's all the stuff. And I also got the cheat book for this. Star Wars Pez. Wow, old Star Wars T-shirt. You can't even read it. You can't even tell what it said anymore. It was Luke on the Tauntaun, and it's so old that it's just gone. But you know, gotta hang on to everything. Why not? See, here's Bride of Frankenstein, and she's in the box, as well as the Wolfman. And these are mid-90s 12-inch figures. I have taken them out and displayed them. Take them out a lot for Halloween, so they've all been taken out of boxes. But I have managed to keep some of the boxes. Here's the Mummy. If we can see him. Okay. And oh boy, Y-wing balsa wood fighter. Classic, you got to have Star Wars Monopoly. That's a staple for any Star Wars freak. More Christmas ornaments, silly stuff, Band-Aids. Gosh, I spent money on that. A little mini Star Wars monster bobblehead, and a Galactic Heroes Darth Vader. And the last thing in this box is the Millennium Falcon 3D puzzle. And this is a really cool toy, cool puzzle, cool thing. It took a long time to build it, but it is complete. I still have all the pieces, and I'm going to build it again soon because this thing was really, really just a trip to play with. And let me see, that's it for this bin. So let's go to the next one, okay? Okay, here's a couple of items that weren't in bins. Here's the box for the Lego Hulk set. We saw the Hulk earlier, but have the box and the set. And so far I managed to keep this box. You know, it's big and I don't have a place to put it, but so far I've managed to hang on to it. And here we have, this is the Retro Action Ghostbusters. We talked a little bit about the Retro Action Ghostbusters earlier. This set was marked down to like 30% of its original price. So I figured that was kind of a no-brainer to grab it. And I really like the way they did Janine. And like I said, not a whole lot of female figures for Retro Action and Mego and stuff. So when you see a good female figure, sometimes you kind of feel like you ought to grab it. Okay, here we have some more miscellaneous items that weren't in bins. These are the G.I. Joe foot lockers. These are actually from the 90s. I'd love to have some of the vintage ones that are made of wood, but you know, can't have everything. In this one, actually, I've got parts of Hasbro's Bullet Man, and he's incomplete. I've got his head, one arm, and his costume, but this is one of the hardest to find G.I. Joes, and I'm hopefully going to be rebuilding him. Just these parts of him, I could easily get 50 bucks. Easily get 50 bucks for these parts. But that's all that's in that one. And I believe that this one is some vintage G.I. Joe gear. Yeah, this is all, there's not a lot in here, but there's some vintage G.I. Joe stuff, some miscellaneous gear, some miscellaneous uniforms, not a lot, just a few things. And then this is the C3PO. Oh, did you say something? What? Okay. So there you go. This is to hold the 3-inch figures, and this is basically full of 3-inch figures, if you can see that. I have taken some of these empty spaces are the figures that I set up on the Death Star playset, but this is all original 70s and 80s figures, but the case is obviously a little more contemporary. I'd love to pull these out and talk about each one and show you each one, but we just don't have that kind of time. Okay, we're going to do 2 bins at once. These are basically, this is all of the 90s G.I. Joes and gear that is not set up in the display that we just saw. These are, you know, miscellaneous figures. Some of these are bootleg figures. These are actually 2 bootleg figures that I got in Italy. I got one in Venice and one in Dairago. Other 90s G.I. Joes, but there's just not enough room to set all of them up. But this bin, there's about 15 or 20 Joes in there. And this bin, oh, I didn't show that. This bin is all the gear and everything that is not set up out there. This is mostly 90s gear. There's a little bit of vintage in here, but most of it is the 90s gear that would be for the figures in the bin we just saw. And as you can see, this is, I mean, I bag everything up. I'm pretty anal retentive about having things be organized and findable, but that's all gear. That's all G.I. Joe gear. Okay, here's some miscellaneous Star Wars stuff that was from a bin. This is all the Kenner 3-inch figure line. The AT-AT is from the late 90s. The Rancor is original from the early 80s. There's some Hoth play sets. I don't have this whole play set. That's why it's kind of in pieces here. Just a little, this came with a figure from the 90s. This is a Millennium Falcon playset that came with a CD-ROM. We saw the game earlier, but that's a really cool playset. It does some cool stuff with the game. Okay, so let's check out the next batch. Okay, just to remind everybody that I'm changing t-shirts for each bin, this time Amazing Spider-Man. This bin is all 3-inch Star Wars figures. These are yeah. Another Mego Star Trek. This is a Mego custom Star Trek that my brother David made and gave to me last Christmas or something. It's funny, until just now I virtually forgot I had this. It's kind of what happens when you just have so much stuff. But the rest of this box is all the vintage retro action cards. And we get it tight, and let's look at a couple of these. Okay, this is all miscellaneous toys. There's a little bit of Star Trek stuff in here, but this is mostly just miscellaneous stuff. Zombies, the Cylon, Here's some gear for some Star Trek 3-inch figures. Here's some Star Trek figures from the late 90s, I think. You know, the Tick, figure from the Wild Side, Where the Wild Things Are. Just some goofy stuff, a shark, you know, some little mini monsters, Wolfman and Mummy. Here's some old weird figures. I don't even know who made these, but these are some old 60s figures that are kind of weird. This is probably the coolest things in these boxes. Here's a Viewmaster. This is not an original. This is actually from August 23rd, 1998, May 18th to 2006. Oh, this is a promotional item for that 70s show. But I also got a Where the Wild Things Are Viewmaster set. And this is a Brownie. I have a couple of cool old cameras from the 60s and 70s. And here's a Brownie. And this actually still works. If I had some 16 millimeter film, I could put it in it and it'd work right now. It's the wind up kind, you know, that you wind it up and then it winds back. But love old cameras when I can afford them. This bin is $6 Million Man stuff. Here's a Maskatron, kind of in poor shape. He's missing some pieces, and here's his faces, some extra $6 Million Man arms. This is some more $6 Million Man. This is the stuff for the astronaut suit. Here is a $6 Million Man with a broken leg. He has, I think, a problem with one of his arms too, but he's one that kind of a spare part or a fixer-upper. And here's some gear, $6 Million Man. Some of this, I think, is Big Jim gear too. Here's some extra $6 Million Man clothes, another astronaut outfit for $6 Million Man. Here's a Mego-like figure. I can't even remember what these are called. Pirates of the World or something like that. 70s Mego-like figure. Here's a Tonto. I think this is Tonto from the $6 Million Man. I can't even remember what the name of this company is, but so there's just kind of some miscellaneous stuff and $6 Million Man stuff. Okay, this bin is kind of custom stuff in Mego parts. Here's some instructions and some on restringing Megos. Here's some Big Jim decals that are printed. Here's some Mego clothes and some customizing stuff. Here's a bunch of Mego clothes. Here's a bunch of Mego superhero boots, different colors, Green Arrow, Batman, Superman. Here's some Mego Indian stuff, Mego Planet of the Apes stuff, Mego stringing kits for fixing arms and legs. There's some bands for fixing some Megos, fur for customs. Here's a bag of Mego heads for customs and restoration projects, Mego bodies, Mego legs, Type 1, Type 2, just all kinds of Mego customizing parts. Most of this was either given to me by my brother David, or I traded or bought some stuff from him. But this is all just pretty much Mego gear, Mego hats, other Mego stuff, some Mego clothes. Here's some Mego Iron Man parts, some extra boots and head. Like I said, this whole bag is just Mego boots, bodies, Velcro. There's some all Mego arms, and here's a bunch of Mego bodies and torsos. So that's this bin. Let's check out the next one. Okay, this next bin is all part of the Jeff Arrowwood collection. My boss gave me a bunch of this stuff. Some of it's mine, some of it he gave to me. All the 8mm stuff Jeff gave to me. There's a lot of 8mm films in here. Here's some real art. There's some cool little things like this is a Devil's Reject 35mm trailer. It's a Star Wars Phantom Menace 35mm trailer. This is a Lord of the Rings. I believe this is Lord of the Rings. Oh, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory 35mm trailer. Dracula 8mm. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman 8mm. Abbott and Costello a 35 millimeter Hostile trailer, and 35 millimeter Underworld Evolution trailer. Just for some, film memorabilia stuff. Dracula, what is this? The Undead 8 millimeter trailer. And in here, Star Wars cards, Star Wars game cards. Have no idea that was in there. Tops, widescreen Star Wars cards, and some Universal Monster cards, and some vintage monster cards. Well, that's this bin, so let's move on to the next one. Okay. These are small bins. I wish we had time to display these because they're so awesome. These are some of the Star Wars Transformers from the first line, the Snowspeeder, the AT-AT, and Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Really, man, the Star Wars Transformers is such a cool concept that it seems to have really maybe started this whole toy crossover craze, Darth Vader, etc., the whole crossover thing. But those are awesome toys. And this is all vintage die-cast Star Wars stuff. These are all from the early 80s, from The Empire Strikes Back, the Snowspeeder, the Cloud Car, the Star Destroyer. Here's a Star Wars medallion. Here's a die-cast Millennium Falcon. That's, I think that's around 2000. Here's some metal Star Wars keychains, Darth Vader, Han Solo, C-3PO, R2-D2, and here's some little mini pewter Star Wars figures.